All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to our October 6th meeting of the Metropolitan School District of North Posey, and we'll open the meeting by joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Galvin, would you lead us off with the vision and mission?
Our vision is we inspire all students to achieve their potential for winning in life in a safe and supportive environment. Our mission is we partner with our community to create a dynamic and innovative educational experience, empowering students to become educated, productive, and responsible citizens. Our core beliefs: we believe our community is vital to our educational success. Everyone is valued and treated with respect, and always telling the truth. An educational opportunity for all, student-centered programs, challenging and inspiring learning, and in the pursuit of excellence through a strong sense of pride. Our high priorities are enhancing the student experience, investing in teachers and administrators, fostering strong relationships among all, and maximizing our resources.
Thank you. All right, our first item on the agenda is patrons' concern, and see that nobody has signed up. Is that?
Oh crap! I signed over there. Did I sign the wrong one? Can I?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Going once, going twice.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Let's do it. I'm just backnotched. I just signed the agenda thing over there.
Oh, okay.
So it's not necessarily a concern. I just really wanted to. The last couple of years, when we switched over to cafeteria, and food has been an issue. A lot of the kids complain. I have to admit it was an issue where if you wanted to have a good solid lunch, well, I know with COVID, so many things going on. It was we were struggling to even get stuff, and in the last couple of years, sometimes you get lunch and it wasn't very good. And it's not that our cafeteria workers weren't trying. This was vendors supplying that stuff. But I just wanted to say, the last few weeks, it has been outstanding. The vegetables are crisp and fresh. Whether they're cooked vegetables, raw vegetables, they're great. Taste salads, baked beans, the entree dishes. So I just want to commend whoever's in charge of doing the ordering. And from all of that standpoint, it is a much better experience for the kids, the teachers, and everybody. And it isn't like our cafeteria workers weren't working their butts off. They're out there. They're polite. They're pleasant. They're trying to talk to the kids and encourage them to eat right. So, but it's always important because everybody, we always hear all the bad stuff, and nobody ever comes forward and ever says, "Hey, something's really working good now." And I thought it was really important that our cafeteria workers, and I can only speak for the high school because I have an 8 at North Elementary, South Terrace, but I would say I would know that if we're getting better ingredients and they're doing a better job, I guarantee it's the same thing happened there. So I just wanted to compliment them and congratulate them on they're doing a great job, and I think it's paying off. I think we see happier kids. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Anybody else before we close this up? All right. Next item is the minutes, claim docket, and consent items. We're handing out to everybody ahead of time. Entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent items.
I'll second. So we have a motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mr. Oakley. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. New business. Mr. Allen.
First up this evening, we have the adoption of the 2023 budget. As you are aware, we have followed statutory guidelines on how that budget is to have been posted through the gateway. We held our hearing last month, and so we are ready to bring forward the budget this evening for 2023. In addition to, as part of that budget, we have the resolution for appropriations and tax rates. We have the resolution to adopt the bus replacement plan budget year for 2023. We have the resolution to adopt the capital projects plan budget year 2023, the 2023 budget transfer resolution, and the resolution for 2023 budget hearing, and then the rainy day transfer resolution, as well as the resolution to transfer up to $1.5 million from education fund to the operations fund. And if you remember correctly, that is as needed. Right now, we usually transfer about $125,000 per month. Actually, it's right at $125,000 per month. But sometimes that is not needed, and sometimes we leave that in the education fund as we come down to the end of the year if we don't need to make those transfers. So, but that is the maximum amount, and keep in mind that that's usually it's a situation of where it has to be 15% or less. That's what the state is not requiring, but strongly encouraging you to keep it at. So, and we are below that 15%. So this evening we bring forward for your consideration the 2023 budget.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we adopt the budget as reads on the agenda here.
Second.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Collins, seconded by Mrs. Will, to approve the 23 budget with the resolutions as read by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions? The resolution is just for clarity. We do this every year. I mean,
Correct.
so it's just a standard operating procedure to approve these resolutions.
You are legally required to have a bus replacement and capital projects plan. The other ones mainly allow, at the end of the year, it allows Carol to kind of balance the books more or less. The transfer resolution allows us to transfer funds, those kinds of things.
It's just the mechanics of flowing money between the funds throughout the year. Any other comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Okay, do you want to sign this now?
Sure.
Otherwise I get in trouble with Carol if it's outside. There's multiple pages there.
You would compare my signature to the first one to the last one, there was nothing like. Two different people.
That's how you know it's not fake, right?
Some of the ones that you signed twice, but it's probably not.
Right.
Okay. Next up this evening, we are bringing forward, we discussed this last month in the executive session. We have been approached by Patterson Agency on behalf of the Indiana Department of Transportation to purchase 0.272 acres of our property at the Y there in Wadesville, right there at the health clinic. Josh, Mr. Orem, our school attorney, has investigated this situation for us and has prepared the documentation, the resolution this evening. So I'm going to turn that over to him and kind of let him explain, because I believe there was a few questions that we want to bring back to the board this evening in an open session, just so everybody understands what we're doing. So.
Sure. Well, and I know it's up on the screen here. The yellow is a little bit difficult to see, but basically there are the two colors. The yellow is in sort of the D shape, capital D shape. It's got the 1 on it. And basically the school owns property that would include what is in this yellow shaded area as well as what is in the blue. The area that would be in the yellow shaded area is currently grass. The area that's in the blue is property that technically is already under the existing roads at the intersection. What Patterson is involved in is the Department of Transportation is wanting to expand the highways and expand this intersection through Wadesville, and they have offered to purchase from the school the portion that is in the blue that again is already under the pavement, as well as the section in yellow. That section is grass. I know one of the concerns was kind of where is that line that would form kind of the stem of the D there? Is that going to actually go into the gravel? There's kind of a paved area with some gravel that extends for parking on the lot. I've been in correspondence with Chris Patterson, and Chris was able to confirm that the project doesn't extend all the way into the gravel. They're literally just acquiring a sliver of the grass there. So as far as the affected usage, it's not going to affect parking. Beyond that, the only thing I know that it would affect would be mowing grass, less of it to mow. So beyond that, I don't know if they're able to show any kind of impact on the property. So one of the things that Patterson does require is a resolution. There are a couple things that would have to be in that resolution. Again, it would be indicating that if the fiscal board wishes to accept the offer, they would have to specify that. They would need to specify that they're accepting it for the offer amount, which was $10,000. And they would need to authorize an individual, as drafted, it would authorize Superintendent McAlvin to be able to sign the quitclaim deed, sign the purchase agreement. So if the board were wanting to move forward with this, that would all need to be in the resolution. So I've drafted a resolution that I understand would be compliant with what Patterson is recommending, something that Indiana Department of Transportation would accept, and something that would allow the board to proceed with this purchase, or really sale from the school's perspective, if this is something the board wants to do.
Does not affect our driveway in and out of the.
Correct. It would basically be, again, anything that's in gravel, anything that's paved is not going to be touched by this project.
And obviously, we always run the risk on something like that. If we choose to not do it, they could eminent domain it. And
That would likely be the next step, would be for them to proceed with the eminent domain. Whether they would do that, I don't know. But I mean,
well, I think given the fact that there's no use of it currently, it's excess land of our current facility.
one point I should clarify, they were able to provide appraisal on the property, and that is included. That's also noted in the resolution. So this comes in at the appraised value.
So we entertain a motion to move forward with this and execute the resolution. Is that?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the request from Patterson and sign a resolution to sell the property as listed.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mr. Colley to approve the execution of the resolution and selling of the land. Wadesville Corner as presented. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Because they're signing a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Next up, Mr. President, it's always and to me, it's an enjoyable evening for us when we can recognize our employees and the great work that they do in North Posey. This evening, I'm bringing forward the recommendation for salary increases for 2022, 2023. First of all, with our teachers, our memorandum of understanding with the Teachers Association, we had a stipulation in there that if enrollment drops below the 1,400, that we would reopen the contract. As I've shared with the board, we looked at our cash flow situation. We looked at the additional funding that we're going to be receiving. And this year, we're going to be receiving $136,043, approximately on our average daily membership. This is in addition to what we've been receiving. And so the recommendation from me is that we honor what is in the contract and proceed with providing our teachers with 2 additional bumps. The association has signed a resolution agreeing not to file grievance against us for not reopening the contract based upon that. And I think that with Mr. Wallace being here tonight, they're very appreciative of us that we're going to continue with that. And as we're aware, the enrollment this year did drop. We're at 1,389 and 0.25, I think, or something like that. But we feel like looking at our cash flow as we move forward, we feel like that we can sustain that and that enrollment will bounce back up in the future and stuff. And then as well, right now we're hearing a lot of good talk from the state that they're going to put additional money into public education with this next budget cycle too. So that's one thing is that we're going to recommend to do that. And that amounts to about pretty well 2 bumps is going to be a big increase for our people. It could be upwards of $4,000 for our people to put into their pockets, because as we've shared in the past, we're not having any health insurance increases this year. So we really felt like with inflation and things like that, that this needed to be done. What we are recommending is the same thing for our administrators, a $4,000 increase to their base, retroactive to the beginning of the 2022-23 school year. You can kind of see there what the impact is going to be on that with the education fund and the operations fund, as well as the special education fund. In addition to that, our classified staff, so this is our custodians, our secretaries, our food service people, we're recommending a 75-cent per hour increase for them. And just this morning, I was in a study council meeting and we were discussing our classified staff, because some of them don't even make as much as you would make working at Wendy's. And so we really want to try to get that up, recognize the individuals who are doing a good job. And the other thing is that as we are seeing happen in the marketplace is that people are jumping ship quite often, very quickly, and taking a lot of knowledge and wisdom with them. And so we introduced this year some longevity increases, because our salary schedules for our classified stops at 5 years. So we increased or added in an additional bump at 10-year for $1 addition, 15-year for 75 cents addition, and 20-year at $1. So those are some things that we're looking at as well in the recommendation for the classified staff. Food service will be the same way, 75 cents per hourly employees, as well as the longevity stipends, longevity bumps at 10, 15, and 20. And then our bus drivers, we're going to increase salary there by $5.25 per day. And that longevity increase as well for them for $1, 75 cents at 15 years, and $1 at 20 years. You also have in your packet this evening kind of the salary schedules for each of those employee groups, so that you can kind of take a look at those. That final column there will show you the 2022-2023 final recommendation for those. Our people work hard. We have quality people. And I think the other thing that we are so blessed with is that several of our staff members live in our community. And as I often say, we want to support our local people. So by helping our people, our employees, make competitive wages, they put back into the community. They spend their money here and they support our schools through doing that. So I feel like that this is definitely something that's doable. I feel like it also meets kind of what you guys have challenged me to do, to provide competitive pays to our employees, and to make sure that we're capturing and keeping those good individuals that come our way. So this evening, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those, but I'm bringing forward that recommendation, Mr. President.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the salary increases as listed.
Second.
I'll second.
So, a motion by Mr. Schmidt, seconded by Mrs. Will to approve the salary increases as presented by Mr. Galvin. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I know when, if we can't change teacher salaries without going through the teachers organization. Are these things open to change, or are they rock solid? There is no, it's just what we,
The classified?
yeah.
No, those are just kind of whatever we decide. Yeah, that's not part of the
And if
contract.
there's a position in here, we thought, hey, that's brought up a whole lot more work than it used to, we could do that just individually. And I don't know that there is or anything, I
Right.
was just looking at that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely do that.
We're not tied to this thing.
And that salary schedule, mainly what I've done is, that was, Amy, I don't know how many years ago did we create that?
Before me.
Before you? And so
more than
mainly all
15
I've ever
years
done
ago.
is just kind of added to it. I think last year we gave everybody a $1 raise. This year we're kind of doing the 75-cent raise, and then we're adding in the longevity. So yeah.
So if somebody's been there 25 years, they get a $275 bump?
Yeah. Any questions?
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Thank you all. Appreciate that very much. Okay.
Mr. President, I put a letter in the board packet, share some information about our bus drivers, and, you know, we've continued to talk about the need to continue to fill those spaces, the conditions that are difficult to fill those spaces because they do require quite a bit of training and licensure to drive a school bus. So most recently, we had a situation that we did have a few bus drivers on leave that week, approved vacation leave, and then, you know, one or two got sick or whatever, we had some problem covering. Instead of, you know, saying we can't pick you up today, you know, that's really not an option for us. Trying to figure out how to run double routes. And we did have two drivers take that route and run double routes at the same time. And so I would like to compensate them accordingly. We pay sub bus drivers $37 a route, $74 for a full day. I'm asking that if I have to double up a driver, that I would give them $30 for that double up, because they're still running their route, but they're extending that route by taking on an additional route.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
I'll second.
A motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mr. Colley to approve the additional pay for the extended routes. As presented by Mrs. Walden. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
We'll say that we're getting some movement on some additional drivers.
Yeah.
And
We just hired we have a new one that just finished her life, that I hired. She's sub, and then I have another one that just started, and possibly another.
Ooh, that's
Sorry,
exciting.
Wow.
Very good.
Starting to move in that direction, which is really nice.
Are these going to be sub-drivers, or will these move right into a route?
It will just, there's a lot of moving parts right now, so I don't really have an answer for yet.
This evening, you also have your list of professional leave there. Mrs. Newman will be attending some training for her position as food service director for procuring USDA foods. Melissa Marinholtz, the AEAI annual conference. Michelle is going to be attending the basic training for Indiana School Safety Specialist Academy. Braxton and Cody will be going to the coaches clinic. And Melissa Marinholtz and Emily Musgrave will be going to the NAGC annual convention as well. So we bring forward those considerations this evening.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the professional leave request.
Second.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Collins, seconded by Mr. Schmidt to approve the professional leave request as presented by Mr. Galvin. Comments or questions?
The performing arts students that are going, are they performing down there or are they just going down to see what's going on?
They performed last year, so. I'm
They
assuming
performed
that's-
last year, but they're not performing.
I think they are. That's what I'm assuming they are.
That's what I thought. I didn't know.
This is compared to.
I thought he kept saying things that were on here.
Yeah.
It's on the.
It's on our board packet.
Okay.
So just make sure that gets in the notes.
Yeah.
It's a,
There's
Some of
more
the-
to it than.
yeah.
Oh,
it was printed, so.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Reports?
okay, I want to kind of jump around here a little bit, if it's okay. So first off, the expenditure requirement for full-time teacher salaries report, if you remember correctly, the Department of Education, or actually the state legislature came out requiring us to have 45% of the funds that we receive go towards teacher compensation. And we squeaked in, we are at 45.18%. So we met that threshold. We had some conversation about this morning in our study council. There are some districts that did not meet that
Many.
and are way low underneath that. You're probably going to see some discussion about this in the next legislative session. The big push is to bring in compensation, or not compensation, but benefits, because a lot of districts, like we do, provide HSAs, health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance. So and I'm sure that they will also increase that percentage as well. But kudos to us that we're there. So we actually, when Carol figured, we thought we were going to be a little bit lower, but so we made it. So
Will this be public for all of the schools then where they come in on this?
yes, yeah. My understanding is they're going to post that, and they're going to post the naughty list of those that didn't make it. So.
But that probably will not include charter or private or.
So anyway.
I couldn't resist.
Next
Yeah, I
up,
did
also, Kids Caring and Sharing, just want to let you know that we received a Riley Corporation status, means that we had $1 per student enrolled in our district. So our principals do a great job of doing fundraiser each year for that. So we want to congratulate our principals and doing that. Also, congratulations to Michelle and her team. The Norseman Academy, which is our alternative education program, has been kind of approved. So
The provisional program.
so we're excited about that. We actually had about a 45-minute meeting with the Department of Education, explaining the program, answering their questions and things. And I think they were pleased with what we were putting together.
Yeah, I got a little bit of additional feedback, just personally from the team when we sent back, because they had a few edits that they wanted us to send back on the application. And she said typically the edits are large, because people often don't quite understand alternative education and where they want to go as a state. And they commended our entire team on what we were doing. Felt like it was a really good fit to what they were looking for in alternative education at the state level. And are really excited. So they will come in the fall at some point this semester and do a site visit at Norseman Academy, and then we will receive our full approval as an alternative program. With the provisional program, that means we can go ahead and start collecting our data. At the end of the year, we submit for the AL report, which would be that additional alternative education funding for any student that has been in the program for more than 10 days.
Also,
job.
so they worked hard, so very good job. And then also, I know Larry brought up some things during the last meeting with our sports facilities and stuff. I just kind of wanted to give an update on those, where we are, because we've been working over the past month of just kind of gathering things. First off, we have several things that are needing addressed. And so we've been working not just on the gymnasium, but also other areas as well, to kind of get some pricing and things like that. The high school gymnasium public address system, the PA system, Dominique from Concept Sound is still working on that. He's been out a couple of times. In fact, Waylon I talked to him just a few moments ago. He said that Dominique was out there today tweaking it again. We're not having issues with that one speaker that we thought we were having issues with. So he's trying to figure out if it's just popping in and out or what's happening. So we're working on that. High school scores table, we received a quote from that. It's going to be about $23,000 to purchase something along those lines. The high school scores table electrical plug, that was kind of made aware to me. The plug or the cord is getting old and brittle. So Danny is in the process of replacing that. High school bleachers, we received a quote on that. It's about $127,000 for the high school bleachers, and that is just to replace the lower level bleachers. Okay, so the goals in the main gym, we looked at those. I think the buzzer lights were causing some issues. I spoke to Danny. He feels like that he can get those fixed, so he's working on those. We've not had NEPCO come out yet and look at the auxiliary gym goals. We're working through that process. The gymnasium ceiling, we've had those representatives from Tri-State Painting come out now twice. The first time it was just the gentleman that came out from Tri-State Painting. Last time he brought a team out to actually look at it. What's happened is that we don't have any actual leakage issues with the ceiling. It's what it is the paint that they were using. They used an oil-based paint. And what happens is because of the contraction with just heat and cold, it begins to break. And so once it kind of breaks open, then that increases the rusting that we're seeing and more additional spots coming up. And so that's going to probably be an entire summer project, probably a 2.5 month. They'll come in, they'll cover everything, they'll put boards down, they will. They're going to do corn cob blasting probably on it, and then they'll go back and put a latex onto it, which will not have that issue. He asked me if I wanted to do the 5-year project, which would make it look nice and pretty, probably get me through my tenure and out the door. I said no. I said I want to do it right and do it right. So we're going to get a price on that. I have no idea. I got when you look at it, it's probably going to be the labor aspect of it that's really going to cost. I don't think it's going to be the paint. So the high school gymnasium air handler, rainwater coming in. I spoke a little bit to Sean about that. That's mainly when we have severe storms, a lot of wind and things like that. We're going to try to get a hold of a roofer to come out, take a look at that flashing to see if we can address that. We investigated our gymnasium floor. I know this is the one thing that Larry had heard a lot about from constituents in the community, that the gymnasium floor was going to fall through, or it was just we couldn't replace it or needed to be replaced immediately, those kinds of things. That gymnasium floor, when they built it back in the 1950s, they built it well. And the people we had come in, Cincinnati Floor from Indianapolis, they looked at it. He explained to us the process. They mainly put 2x4s down. They put attachments connected to the concrete underneath it. They then overlay it with plywood. For the moisture barrier, they put down kind of black tar. And so, and then they put the basketball floor on top of it. He said, if we were going to go and replace it right now, he said that the only thing that you would be removing would just be the top floor. That would be it.
The others was done so well.
Yeah, it is. It's done so well. He said there might be some connectors that they would need to be replaced, but he said, and the other thing at the tar underneath there, he said, you just don't want to touch it because, you could have an asbestos issue. So therefore you just don't mess with that. So you just do the top floor and that's it. But he said that we are still in good shape. You're mainly looking for cracks at the end of the boards or along the sides of the boards. And we really did not see any cracks. We looked several areas. And so we're in good shape. He feels like in his letter that he sent to us, he feels like that we could sand it one more time possibly. He recommends screening it, which is what we've been doing. Danny and his team is doing that every other year. He's recommending that we do that every year. So we can definitely take that on. They gave us a quote of about $4,296 for them to come in and do it in one day if we wanted them to do that, and on an annual basis. But
But we've got the equipment.
we've got the equipment, yes, and we know how to do it. We've done it. What Danny has been doing is he's just, to help him out, he's been rotating. So he'll do the 2 elementaries 1 year, and the next year he'll go do the high school, junior high, and that's
And
kind
he
of what
takes the whole custodial crew to work on it when he does that.
I have no idea on that one.
At one time I saw he was using them all. but,
Yeah, so
Does it cost us every time we have somebody come in to inspect that floor?
to inspect the floor,
Like that guy coming down?
no, doesn't cost us a thing. No, does not
And
cost
he
us
was
a
a
thing.
floor salesman. I mean, that was his job, and he.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking for him, so, oh yeah, look here, look there. He didn't, he was very, very upfront.
Did they look for dead spots though throughout the floor, or was that?
That's gonna happen though. Dead spots, you know, I played, when I was in college, played at Roberts Stadium, there were dead spots all over that floor. I don't know that I've ever been on a gym floor that has any age to it at all that doesn't have some dead spots.
And he said that could be caused from those connectors that came unattached, those kinds of things. So he did actually say that the new floors, you know, how much we spend on tennis shoes. He said a new floor is more absorbent, or whatever you want to call it, than new pair of tennis shoes. He said that having a new floor will help out more than a new pair of tennis shoes. So, yeah. A little bit of a price difference there, but. So he feels like our floor will probably last at least another 10 years. And price then is going to be about $250,000 to $300,000 to replace the basketball floor. So anyway, that was that. Concession stand accessibility and restroom accessibility, that's just, I think, something that's going to have to be done more in a larger, remodel of that entire area and stuff, but I definitely understand it. Waylon and I and Sean have talked a little bit about, can we put some, like a table on the second tier, put some popcorn up there, soft drinks, those kinds of things, and they're definitely looking at that. I think the big concern is much like we've had experience with our main concession stands, is just finding people to man those. So, the other thing too this is kind of something that wasn't on that list, but I'm just going to kind of give you some other stuff as well. Expanding the tennis courts parking lot with rock. We have a small concrete slab back there right now. That's kind of also our handicap parking for the football field. But Brandon and I have talked about that, and as well, it's just really not that big a slab of trying to expand that. We got a price from Joe Lupfer, actually about a year ago, about $8,960 for that. The other thing that is I've been made aware of is softball backstop replacement. The backstop is not really a replacement; it's an extension of the backstop. It doesn't go far enough out to like protect the stands, so that when you hit a fly ball. So this is something that we've looked at with Mr. Fence. That's about $14,418 with that. The football sound system, you have to, when we're having football games, we've had some issues with it. We mainly have prayed it through this entire season. But that cost from Concept Sound is about $31,068 to replace that sound system. As I shared with you, the scoreboard at softball field last year is probably about 20 to 25 years old. We got a price from Nepco on that. That's $11,000. The soccer field, we're having issues with that scoreboard now. It's also about 20 to 25 years old. The circuit board on the back of the clock is not right, and Nepco no longer supports it because it's so old. And that one will be about $11,000 replacement as well. The other thing we're also talking about too, and I know Larry was mentioning the banners and taking down those banners. I think we've kind of used those to kind of create a false sense of kind of closing off that second tier of the railing up there. So we are getting a hold of Tri-State Fence as well as Mr. Fence to see what are the options of closing in that second little level there of the railing on the second tier. So that's a price that we're still waiting on as well. So
The fence you can see through.
correct, yeah. So we're just looking at, do we put, like right now we have a chain link fence. We're concerned about if you go on up with that, is that going to block the view? We've also talked about, and I think Todd looked at this well, as like cabling. But I think when you start drilling through the pipes with the cabling, the Pipes weekend. So we're going to try to see what they suggest and go from there. So those are just some of the different athletic renovations. When I looked, and the other thing I also checked into is your operations fund. I remembered that there used to be a stipulation, and there still is a stipulation, that you can only spend so much on sporting facilities. That is 2.8% of your maximum levy, which when I put that in for last year, that comes out to be about $88,000 for us as a district. So, underneath Indiana code, I'm really not allowed to spend any more than $88,000 on athletic facilities. Now, when I talked to my DLGF, the ceiling in the gymnasium, even though it's in the gymnasium, it's more of a structure kind of thing. The bleachers, we're having issues with that. That could be a safety issue. So there are some things, but if you take those two pieces out, add up everything else, we're right at about $90,000 in athletic improvements. So, that's just in the building. And we didn't even address some of the other issues that we've had in the auxiliary gym with goals. I know, Larry, you mentioned the sleeves for the volleyball nets in the auxiliary gym. Wayland said we can actually buy sleeves for that, and that will fix those. And we've done some things.
Installation is a big thing.
Yeah. And last year, we've made some improvements. We had the baseball warning track, which was about $14,000. We replaced that last year. That was a safety issue. We've also, we put in a new scoring table or bench at the soccer field last year to help, and that had a cover over it because our controller system was getting wet when it rained, because soccer plays when it rains, We also replaced the softball sound system this year as well. That was blown. And so we actually had to bring in a temporary one from Concept Sounds for a regional game, but we're replacing that sound system. So we're making some headways on all of our projects. It's just taking some time to fix things. And as we find them, we add them to this. We call in the sales rep and say, how much is this going to cost us? So anyway, I just want to kind of give an update on those. I think the big one, of course, is definitely going to be the ceiling as we go forward, and what costs that's going to be looking at. So, any questions?
I'd just like to comment, I thank you very much for looking at those things. I don't necessarily believe and think, and, I am an athletic person. I spent my whole career in that, but I know the job of the school is education, and that has to come first, and I'm very much in favor of that. But there were some things like the paint, even from the time it was first pointed out to me, I think it's been flaking more and more, and it's really beginning to look bad. Of course, it looks bad once you see it, and a lot of people would probably never ever notice it. And the floor deal, I feel really, really good about that, because you hear that from so many people, and hopefully that gets out in the board minutes and stuff like that, and people will see that. Things that I think at the top of this list that we need to look at is that railing on the second tier, because that's a big safety issue too.
Yeah.
And, one of the big complaints about the signs last year was you can't see through those signs real well. So you can see through the fencing that we put up a whole lot easier than that. And then the scores table, which would eliminate those signs.
Right.
That have to have in there.
And we've had a lot of conversations about and Larry's been part of these, of some of the issue we're running into right now with the scorers table is that we have a center row right there where that scorers table is at, and on the bleachers. And then as well, the way our bleachers are currently set up is all the plug-ins are in the bleachers themselves. They're not actually in the basketball floors. In some gymnasiums they are. So dependent upon the bleachers will kind of determine what kind of scorers table we can get. And so that actually is a 6-foot scorers table is what I quoted for you guys. And that would then, it's a digital sign. It would be able to run all the advertisements throughout the game of all those different banners and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we're quoting. So
Wayland sent me a copy of that, and I thought it was a 8 or 10 foot. I
It
don't
may-
know, but the prices.
there was different ones.
Prices
Yeah.
were the same as what you just said.
So,
And I
maybe
know sometimes.
Maybe a
some of the-
6-person, that's what I meant, maybe 6 people. So.
I know sometimes this, everything can't be done, but there are little things that will make, as I said before, more people come into our gymnasium than any place else in the school. Except maybe the football field, the football's having a really good season or whatever. And they take that image back. And, if they come in and see all of a sudden the ceiling's flaking down, and supposedly it doesn't, sometimes for just no reason. But I appreciate you looking at everything, and I understand that it can't all be done. Some of the little things aren't as expensive, and there are little things that we can get.
Well, and I think too that, the athletics play such a big role in the whole community, and not just the high school, but the junior high, the elementary kids are out there in the youth programs. We have the cheerleaders, the dance teams, you name it, their volleyball teams, they're in that gym, and vice versa. But, listening to some of the coaches and principals as people move into the area in the summertime and springtime and want to view and look at the facilities, we've done such a great job with that back area now, and what used to be an eyesore is now the key piece to the whole campus. And most of the time, they're not even to the front of the building. They're taking them to the back of the building, and we're getting all kinds of compliments, and even from visiting teams. I'll hear it a lot from somebody else say that, hey, we played at North Posey, and man, I haven't been out there in 20 years. You guys have really done a great job with the facilities. It looks awesome out there. So it's a marketing piece. There's safety involved, and I think historically what we have done is those are bigger dollar items, and we've kind of kicked them down the road. And we've got buildings that were built in the 50s, so we've got lots of opportunities for projects, no matter where we go look at that. But
And to kind of let you guys know how I handle it, and I'm more than happy to show this to you. I've got a spreadsheet here, and I've got down at the bottom are tabs. I know Amy loves spreadsheets, but anyway, I got 2022,
I'm a big fan.
2023, 2024, and like when these things come up, what I just do is, or if the principals or somebody says something, hey, this needs to be replaced, I put it into this spreadsheet, and then I try to figure out, number one, what's my cost, who am I going to get it from, where can I fit it in the budget, so if there's things that I can't afford this year, then I bump it to next year and stuff, so that, and this year, I've got what we've done for 2022, and we've knocked out quite a bit of stuff this year and things. But, it's just, there's certain things that sometimes, as you guys are aware, are, the septic system we had at high school, that was something that popped up, suddenly requires us to fix it, we're working through right now with the business department. The computers are having big issues of updating and stuff. That's a $31,000 ticket there to buy new computers. And so we're purchasing those and getting those installed and stuff. So it's a real balancing act, and we try to, as well, you can't pay attention to just one school. You got to take care of North Elementary, South Terrace too, to try to keep everybody happy, and as well as the facilities just upgraded. So yes, but I appreciate it, and we're going to continue to dig away at it, and get like Larry said, even those little things. That's sometimes nice when you have these, because you can say, oh, if I got $5,000 or $6,000, hey, let's get this taken care of, we'll get this knocked out. So,
And thank you for listening to me and
You're welcome,
putting
sir.
up with mine.
I appreciate it, Larry. So, along those same lines this evening, we had an executive session on Monday night, and if everybody's okay, I want to kind of talk a little bit about that to kind of get consensus of where we want to go. We discussed that assessed valuations across the state of Indiana have increased this year, which is very historically, people I've talked to have said has never happened before. So mainly what this means is the value of your property has increased to the tune for Posey County of 17.8%. We met with our financial people on Monday, and this district has historically wanted to keep our tax rates level. And so if we, because the assessed valuations, tax rates are going to drop. So if we would would not do anything, then in 2023, those tax rates would drop. And then in 2024, we would be increasing those again because of us going into the new bond and things. Taxpayers oftentimes are very appreciative when those tax rates drop, but sometimes they're very forgetful when you come back and the bump is maybe a little bit higher than what it was. So our financial people are recommending that to keep that tax rate level, we come out and do a GEO bond, which would then keep that tax rate level. This isn't going to be a addition or an increase in the tax bill to our people, by doing what we're doing. The other thing too is that the other taxing units in this district could also take that as well. So your library, your police, your fire department could also take advantage of that. So this evening, mainly what has to happen is you approve the budget. What would need to happen then is mainly we would be amending the budget. And we're not asking you to vote on it this evening. I just need to know, is there consensus to continue with the process? Because we need to contact our DLGF representative, find out the process, and get that ball rolling down that road. As you've heard tonight, we have several different projects. If I was coming to you, I think it would be very unethical for me as a superintendent of this district to come to you and say, we need to keep our tax rate level, and that's the only reason why we're doing this. That would be unethical for me. I don't feel like I could. I'm a fiscal conservative as well. I wouldn't want to do that to our taxpayers. But as we have already alluded to, we have 1950s facilities that have issues that need to be addressed and improved. We have safety concerns. We're not talking about just athletic renovations. We have original doors at North Elementary that need to be replaced. We are going through and replacing our access control in each of the buildings. We've been doing playground renovations at North Elementary.
We have some classroom renovations.
We have classroom renovations and stuff. So there are definitely things that need to be addressed and need to be fixed, and as we move forward and stuff. So this evening is, if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer that this evening. But mainly I just need to know if there's a consensus for us to continue getting the ball rolling. You don't have to make a decision. There was two different figures that we looked at as $600,000 to be paid out or paid off in 1 year, or $1.2 million to be paid off in 2 years. So, Mr. President, is there anything else you want me to add? No.
Well, I mean, it's the property tax and the formulation of how we get funding this, and even, the finance, Baker Tilly's of the world will tell you it's really complicated. And it's not just a matter of us keeping the tax rate, because that's the last thing that falls through to the formula. This is just really an effect of assessed valuation going up, access to additional funds via taxes. And like you said, if we chose to do nothing, we don't speak for the rest of the taxing entities in the district, and tax rates can still go up regardless of what we do. And if assessed valuation falls down, tax rates could go up correspondingly to that. So, it's really complicated to sit and try to explain it and understand it thoroughly the way we've tried to in bits and pieces. But I think being up in Indianapolis and talking to several at the convention, you've got some that do and some that don't. I mean, there's not like a general rule to say, hey, this is what everybody's doing.
And I think the one thing, like I said, I want our taxpayers to understand is by doing this, we are not increasing their taxes.
No, the tax rate's staying the same. And I mean, I personally feel like if we don't, we take the risk of losing access to cash to run the corporation. And
That's needed.
the last 10 years, especially the last 8, we've done a remarkable job comparative to lots of corporations on keeping the tax rate at a within range of comparative to other counties and generating funds to put back into these buildings. And that's all based on trying to, trying to keep the tax rate very stable with the tools that were offered. So I would just be leery of not doing it and then something happened and you're not, even if at the expense of the taxpayers, you may not even be able to get access to those funds because of circuit breakers and different things. So
I completely understand Jeff's perspective on it. I get it. And kind of what we're asked to do here is predict the future. And that's where I struggle in that, to me, this could just be a little blip to where the tax rate goes down, because looking at the predictions, just based on the growth quotient alone, in 4 years, we're going to be exactly where we are right now with our tax rate. So my fear is if we take out this GEO bond at this point, you're bumping your rate up here, and then if this is just a blip, then you did increase things. So my opinion, just for me personally, it's a little too unpredictable with what's going to happen in the future to do this.
So to that point though, the only thing that we can control, this governing body, is the tax rate itself.
Which will go up anyway based on the growth quotient.
Right.
So
we can't necessarily control the tax rate. We can control the levy that we asked for.
I really do see both sides.
No, yeah, it's not an easy decision to make, but, and I think it's important that, when we say GEO bond, we're talking about a general obligation bond. GEO is an acronym. Some people might think that's geothermal or something. That's not the case. It's just a general obligation bond. So we wouldn't be locked into using it for any specific building or use for it, but
You're saying if we had the money, then 2 or 3 years down the road, we'd miss not using it, or?
No, I'm sure we'd use it for sure.
No, but I mean, when it's not available.
No, it's just, I'm afraid what it's going to do for our tax rate in the future. Based on mortgages going out and houses selling, my prediction is probably things are going to kind of tank. And if that happens, we're going to be back where we are now, tax rate wise, and it's spread out amongst.
Okay, I understand that, but
That won't be our,
that won't be anything that we've done here, and by not using it,
Well,
it doesn't.
What we would do is if we
If
do
we didn't
nothing
use
on
it, then
this,
the tax
then
rate would go down.
everybody gets a bit of a tax break.
you say
for a
that,
couple
but
years.
unless
Unless somebody
somebody
steps
else
in.
picks it up.
yeah,
I
we're
mean,
not
library-
guaranteeing
We're
that.
not.
There's no
I mean,
guarantee. Yeah.
And that was my only thing. I think we have to be careful in that. I mean, just by not doing anything does not
Doesn't mean the
guarantee
tax rate
lower
goes
tax
down.
rates. That's right.
It means that we didn't affect it.
We didn't affect it.
Exactly.
Remember, this is just 1 or 2 years, and so you get another opportunity when that other bond falls off to make additional decisions on where you're gonna land.
And you
with the
could
new
choose to
bond.
cut at that point. That's
Right.
another
Mhm.
opportunity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to me, things are just so unpredictable right now that I'm uncomfortable making that step. So I completely see the other perspective.
Right. It's predicting the future.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't know.
Unfortunately, I think we're at a spot that we kind of have to either say, yeah, we want to move forward without I mean, we're not voting
It
on,
doesn't hurt to move.
we're not
yes.
saying we're doing it.
Right, that's right.
It's going to incur very little cost in the accountants and lawyers starting the process.
And the big amount of money is not going to come until you actually buy the bonds.
Right.
But for us to do it, we kind of either gotta
Save
give
it
him
forward.
the indication that we support it and move forward, or we completely are saying no.
I would like more information, like to keep going forward.
Keep
to
moving
see
forward.
what- yeah.
I'd like to go forward, and I'd like to maybe have Vince explain this all to me, ABC.
You can do better than me.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the one thing you have to understand too is kind of coming back to what Vince is talking about is really the operations fund. That is the only thing, and we have no control over the operations fund. That's that growth quotient that comes from the state of Indiana. And so that naturally, when we take our maximum levy each year and that growth quotient kicks in, that's what's bumping that tax rate up, which every year when I brought the budget to you, I kind of tell you, hey, just want to let you know this, because in case someone walks up to you on the street and goes, well, my taxes are going up. Well, it's not us doing it. It's the state that's doing that. And this year, that growth quotient was the highest. It was at 5%. It was the highest it's ever been at. But that's really where that tax rate goes back, what Vince is saying, returns back to that level of where it is after maybe 4 or 5 years. But we really have no control over the operations fund. What we have more control over is that debt fund. And that's really what we're talking about. This general obligation would come underneath the debt fund, and that helps to keep your rate level, more or less.
And to your point, this is money that could be spent on facilities. This isn't teacher salaries or anything else. We're looking at a bond that would go toward facilities.
And you know, and what I'm going to bring to this committee, or not this committee, this board, is going to be a list of multiple things. Not all athletics. It's going to be school safety. It's going to be classrooms. It's going to be a multitude of things that we're going to try to get done. So.
But these are things that we would normally have to take out of our operations fund.
Yeah.
And it's almost kind of like, instead of deferring maintenance and these little things down the road and then doing them all in year 4, we can do them year 1 and kind of move that.
Like I think we've all talked when Governor Daniels changed the rules back in 2011. There was a lot of people who said that your bonding is going to become a situation of where you're maintaining your buildings. And that's really what we're to now, is that those bonds mainly just help us get caught up on things. It's not really there to do big projects like build a brand new CTE wing or something like that. So, but
It's just paint.
So, but that's really what we're starting to see is those types of things. Okay, so I've got a general consensus to get.
The reason this is available is because the value of housing has gone up.
Correct. Yeah. And as Vince pointed out, that value is going to come back down.
Oh, that's true.
Okay. You have copies of the school improvement plans from principals. If you have any questions, please let us know about that. And we will get that information done. Those were completed on our school improvement plan boot camp day based upon data and things. And then that has to be uploaded to the Department of Education. And Mr. Wallace, as being the NEA representative, has to sign off on those as well. So if you have any questions on that, I believe that's it. Do not forget, we have our Region 9 meeting coming up on November 9th at the clubhouse, 61 in Jasper. So it starts at 4:30.
I don't know who's going, so I haven't registered them.
Okay, so if you want to go, you need to let Amy know. Looks like dinner is at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, so we probably need to leave about 3:30 or so, and that's going to be on November 9th.
When do you do that? When do you make it?
You can do it anytime. I think it's open for registration.
Well, there's a deadline.
I don't see a
I
deadline.
want to find out about my surgery and see when that's.
So we got that coming up. We have fall break next week.
Woo-hoo.
Yes.
All right, does anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
Have we had a meeting since homecoming? We have not, right?
No? Don't think so.
I think that was a major success.
Yeah.
I think we, as a staff, and I'd like to commend all of them, Waylon probably leading the team, but there was a lot of people moving around on that day, and I think it was a major success.
Did it grow from last year?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, I think
More floats, and also the connection back to the Autumn Fest, having the kids ride the floats through the Autumn Fest parade. I think that was a huge win for both Poseyville and the schools.
Yeah, I think, several years ago when we all looked at or asking for an event for the school to tie to the community,
Mhm.
I think we'd all be lying if we said we knew exactly that's how it would turn out, but, they exceeded expectations. You know, that truly has become an event. We've got several classes that are using it for reunions, and we encourage others to do that going forward. I think it's a great weekend to do that. No, you're right. I mean, I'm still partial to that. Was it the youth football float that had
Yes.
the Avengers? Those kids were outstanding.
So, and also, Max Renshaw has won back-to-back sectional championships, so.
Go Max.
Congratulations to
He'll
him.
be, no, 15th, I think it was. He'll be at regionals.
Yeah, it's the 15th.
Anybody else?
And thank you all for the conference this week. We had a good time. Enjoyed being with you guys. So,
All right, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Collier, seconded by Mr. Oakley. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Drive.
Yes.